New South Wales government is selling architect designed homes for just $1. I covered what that was in my first video, but today we're doing a deep dive into just one of the designs. So let's go. Looking at Terraces 04 by Other Architects and NMBW. We're going to answer the 3 most commonly asked questions on the part 1 video, which was number 1, how does it deal with intergenerational living? Number 2, does it respond to mobility issues? Number 3, how can it be sustainable if it isn't responding to a specific site condition? But before we get into answering these questions, we all need a lesson in how to read architectural drawing. Now, this takes up like a whole year of your architecture degree. I do not expect everyone to be able to look at this drawing here and go, I know what I'm getting. What I want you to get your head around is that there are actually 3 houses in this drawing. They are 3 different variations of this one house. Things can be swapped around depending on your needs. It varies from a 2 to 5 bedroom home, all within the same design, depending on what you pick. Markup number 1. What is the most radical difference in this design versus other designs is that they have split what is normally a typical home into 3 different portions. Now, I've nicknamed it the front flex zone, the main house, and the back flex zone. I've called it this. This has not come from the architect, so I don't want to put this on them, as a way of being able to communicate with you the role of breaking up the home into these 3 different ideas. So, to talk you through this plan, the street here is where you would drive in if you had a car. There's a front zone that can be used for flexible purposes. You move through a garden courtyard and into the main house. This is what we're calling sort of like the fixed component, even though if you get into the nitty-gritty of their planning, even this floor plan can be shifted around depending on your needs. Then, depending on the size of your lot of land, you can either do another courtyard followed by another bit of building. The reason this is radical is because this would be your typical terrace house plan. So if you've ever rented in Sydney or Melbourne and you've gone to look at a terrace building, this is probably what you got. Often got like a small area out the front, often it's used for bin storage, and then room out the back, which 9 times out of 10 gets turned into a car park. There's virtually no room for green space, and as you can imagine, having light only from 2 ends of the building, because it's built wall to wall, makes them quite dark. Now, a lot of these get retrofitted with skylights, and that's totally okay. They have little light wells in the middle of their plans, but you can see when you compare a typical terrace house plan like this to something like this, we're all of a sudden seeing a radical uptake in landscaping opportunities. So just to compare even more clearly, this would be a typical terrace home. And what we're seeing in this plan is a complete deconstruction of why and where you put landscaping. So now that we've established that this diagram is showing us 3 different ways you can plan this design, and that each of the 3 buildings is made up to 3 different buildings within the one plan, which is a radical departure from a typical terrace house, now we can have a conversation about how does this respond to multi-generational living. At the core of good multi-generational living is the appreciation that having more people in one home means you need differing layers of privacy. So that if you need some time away from the in-laws or from Nana or from your teenage kid, you've got a space to go. But it also means it has to be able to cater to when everyone wants to come together. Now, this requires some pretty nifty planning to be able to have spaces that flex and change as a family grows. And let's see how this sort of deals with that. Let's say a couple buys this home first. They don't have any kids yet. One of them might work from home and they might have friends that live interstate. So they've kitted out their version of this event as a home office in the front. They live in the main house. They've got a guest bed out the back. Time goes on. Mum and dad expand into a family of 4, but now they need some help. So they've converted their guest bed into a granny flat, and parents comes over and stays every now and then. It's got a dad bod, and so he's converted the first portion from a home office into a gym. 2 kids have started to grow up, and now they need a car because the kids have soccer training or swimming lessons. I think you get where I'm going with this. By providing 2 flexible zones at the front and at the back of the lot, they've enabled everyone to be able to make a house that fits whatever need they have. And I actually did my homework here. One of the reasons this part 2 video took so long to follow up is because I actually reached out to the architects. So just call me an investigative journalist. But I actually love what they wrote here, so I'm just going to read it verbatim. This is their responses to how does this deal with multi-generational living. Over time, these volumes can be replanned. An office can become a living room or a bedroom, combined differently or even renovated or extended, enabling adaptation without demolition or relocation of residents and without cutting down any trees or existing landscape. Essentially, what we are providing is not a one-size-fits-all approach to housing, but many sizes fits all. And what they're getting at is that providing a house that has many sizes to it, so the main house, the small house, the studio, everyone has a space. And that is the key to intergenerational living. I think also what you can probably pick up on is that the bedrooms and the studios are separated by landscape. So you're always going to be able to access that level of privacy that you need, but then they're joined by communal areas that you can come together and have dinner or entertain or whatever it is that you like to do in your home. I wouldn't be surprised if some people look at this and go, how the hell did they fit that on a typical site? This isn't going to work. Like, my house can't do that. And planning efficiently is really hard. This is the skill of the architect. They have worked at this plan mercilessly to make it efficient so that they can pack in as much program as you can into a typical lot size. A big sprawling house is really forgiving. The reason you are getting so much amenity is because of the skill of the architects working on this plan. Now, the second most commonly asked question I got was, this doesn't look like it's good for mobility issues. And this is why I don't think you should ever listen to people on TikTok. Not even me. Don't even trust me. I can say that this came directly from the architect, so trust this one bit. But every single one of these homes is designed to either gold or silver standard for livable housing design. It's a document that sets out the technical provisions required to enable dwelling to better meet the needs of the community for older people and people with mobility limitations. I'm once again going to read verbatim from what they replied to me with. Where our design differs is that it includes separate building volumes at the front and rear that can be used as self-contained, step-free and fully accessible dwellings. So a granny flat is basically what we'd all call it. Spaces would be perfect for an occupant with mobility issues or someone looking to downsize but remain in place. So I think it's important to realize that this is for a target market. And if you don't fit into that, no one's making you live in these. If you're a single person, a 5-bedroom household is probably not what you're meant to be looking at. I've got 1 minute left. There's no way I'm getting through everything I wanted to talk to you about, but I'm not going to read through this. These are ways that it's dealt with sustainability. But what I do want to talk about is how can it do this without having a site response? Once again, this comes down to the great use of courtyards. No matter which way this plot faced, because of the breakup of space with landscape, you've got ample opportunity to access daylight and passive ventilation, and that's going to lower your reliance on things that use energy like heating and cooling and lighting. 15 seconds less. Lastly, it offers a scalable alternative to urban sprawl. I don't have time to educate you on why urban sprawl is really bad for our environment. I strongly encourage you looking it up. There's heaps of people that make content about it. And so with 7 seconds left, that is part 2 on one design. Well done if you stayed to the end.